Nigeria, a land of wealth written into the earth. From the black gold of its delta to vast fields and hidden mines, the country was born promising prosperity. Yet for more than 6 decades, that promise has been complicated, at times fulfilled, often frustrated. This is the story of resources that could have made Nigeria the economic powerhouse Africa expected, and the forces that rerouted that destiny. Nigeria possesses one of Africa's largest endowments. Its proven oil reserves are among the continent's largest, measured in tens of billions of barrels, and its natural gas endowment ranks near the top of Africa. Agriculture blankets millions of hectares, and beneath the soil lie scores of minerals: gold, limestone, tin, columbite and more, over 40 different minerals recorded across the Federation. By numbers, the services sector now dominates the economy, more than half of GDP, while industry and agriculture make up the remainder. Oil still matters, but the non-oil economy accounts for the great bulk of output. Despite resource wealth, many Nigerians feel left behind. At independence in 1960, the dream was industrialization built on resources, refineries, processing plants, export industries and modern farms. But the post-independence trajectory became dominated by raw export of hydrocarbons and episodic boom and bust cycles. Political instability, periods of military rule, weak institutions, corruption, and poor infrastructure shifted incentives away from long-term value addition toward quick rents. Where other resource-rich nations invested in downstream industry and broad-based human capital, Nigeria often exported its wealth raw, crude oil shipped abroad while the country imported refined fuel for domestic use for decades. Only recently has domestic refining capacity begun to change that picture. In the 2020s, the picture is mixed. Services are strong. Oil production has rebounded from security-related dips and is back into the 1.4 to 1.7 million barrels per day range in recent measurements. Policymakers and investors point to new gas projects, a big domestic refinery, and interest in formalizing mining and agricultural value chains as reasons for cautious optimism. If resources were turned into sustained broad-based prosperity, Nigeria by now might have had several defining characteristics. Number 1, a diversified industrial base, significant petrochemical, fertilizer, and steel industries feeding domestic manufacturing and exports. Number 2, domestic refining and energy security, refined fuels and petrochemicals produced locally, reducing import bills and keeping value onshore. Number 3, a modern agro-industrial sector, commercial farms and processing plants turning cocoa, cassava, yams, and cereals into higher-value foods and exports, employing millions. Number 4, a formalized mining sector, artisanal miners integrated into regulated supply chains, local smelting and mineral processing. Number 5, stronger human capital and infrastructure, reliable power, ports, roads, and a healthy, educated workforce enabling technology adoption and higher wages. These outcomes were realistic given the endowment. Instead, a combination of governance failures, policy inconsistency, elite capture of resource rents, insecurity in key productive regions, and decades of underinvestment in infrastructure and people diluted the possible transformation. Nigeria's oil and gas reserves are large enough to underpin major downstream industries, yet for decades refined products were imported and value captured overseas. The economy's sectoral structure shows services dominating more than half of GDP, while agriculture, which could employ and uplift millions, has lagged due to security and low productivity. The mining sector contains hundreds of mineral occurrences but remains underdeveloped relative to potential. Formalization and local processing are nascent. Key reasons the promise was blunted. Resource dependence and Dutch disease, currency and policy shaped around oil rents, harming manufacturing competitiveness. Weak institutions and corruption, revenue leakages and rent-seeking eroded public investment. Insecurity, militancy in the Niger Delta, banditry and conflict in farming regions, and illegal mining cut production and deterred investment. Underinvestment in infrastructure and education, inadequate power, transport and skills made industrialization costly. Policy inconsistency, changing rules deterred long-term private investment in refining, mining, and agro-processing. Real change is possible. Key policies and practical steps that could convert resources into broad prosperity include: deepen value addition, accelerate downstream refining, petrochemicals, fertilizers, and local mineral processing. Incentivize local content and financing for processing plants. Gas commercialization in domestic industry. Prioritize domestic gas to power and industrial gas use to lower input costs and power manufacturing. Formalize and support mining. Small-scale miners integrated into traceable supply chains. Build processing hubs near deposits. Agricultural modernization. Invest in storage, processing, rural roads, seeds, mechanization, and secure land tenure. Transparent sovereign savings and robust institutions. Reinforce revenue management, anti-corruption measures, and targeted public investment, education, health, infrastructure. Security and rule of law. End violence that interrupts production and discourages investment. Nigeria's subsoil and soil could have made it an industrial heartland. The resources were never the only constraint, the choices were. But history is not destiny. With purposeful reforms, Nigeria can still convert its natural wealth into broad-based prosperity for its people. Stories like this remind us of the strength of Africa's past. If you believe the world should hear more, join us on Africa Multimedia, where culture lives and legends never die. This has been Africa Multimedia, telling the untold stories of Africa's culture, history, and beauty. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more African stories.